NBT Nation, it's Adam Spack, certified no boring trainer. Let's talk a little bit about slide deck slides. I may have railed against slide decks once or twice in the past. Slide decks are an important element of training. They help you visually convey your information, and when done properly, they help your participants retain and recall that information. We're going to take a look at the NBT way of presenting information visually. At this point in recorded history, I think most people know that a slide like this is complete and utter garbage and trash. Don't do this. A massive wall of text, your participants aren't going to read it, and you as the instructor should not read it to them. Don't do that. This sort of slide is pretty commonplace in a corporate setting. And with the advent of PowerPoint Designer or Canva templates, it's pretty easy to put together a nice, good-looking slide. This particular slide is really conveying the important elements of an organization, and it has 3 key points related to that. The organization needs to be in balance, all these topics fit together, the leaders are responsible for everything, etc. Again, a pretty garden variety slide you might see. Here's the NBT way of utilizing the exact same slide that we just looked at in a far more effective manner. And the first purpose of a slide is to convey information. This slide quickly visually conveys the exact same information from the previous slide. Instead of then going on to explain how the various parts of the organization fit together, they have to be in balance and the leaders are responsible for everything. Instead of just diving into a presentation, I would let this slide sit on the screen for a few seconds, and then I would ask participants, when you think about an organization and these various important components of that organization, what conclusions might you draw based on the picture that you're looking at on the screen? And then I'd be quiet. I'd let them figure it out. I'd let them start to tell me, well, there's all these various pieces of the organization, and oh, they all have to fit together, and if you don't have balance, the whole thing will be flat, etc., etc. Let them tell you. You might get some responses that you weren't even considering that are even better than the points you were trying to make. At a reasonable stopping point, you can then, if nobody's mentioned some of the key elements, you can then ask them, well, let's think a little bit about leadership. How does leadership play into keeping all of these components in balance? And again, be quiet and let them tell you. Can you see the difference between this slide and the previous slide? Instead of telling the audience the information, let them figure it out for themselves. Put together a slide that visually conveys the information, and then help them sort through the answers for themselves, guide them to the answers so that they can recall and retain that information later on at a much higher rate. Adult learners love to draw from their own experiences, their own daily life, which most people can look at this tire and draw a connection to. They also like to be able to piece the puzzle together on their own. That not only makes your session way more interesting, it makes it more effective. So there you have it, the NBT way of utilizing slides in your slide deck. What do you think about this approach? Would this work for you? Have you utilized something like this? Let me know. Leave me some comments down below.